OP was SED during the holidays. Now, college says if OP misses class to testify, they will drop OP from classes. I was SED while home over a break, not by another university student, and the trial of my attacker starts in 2 weeks. I am a university student about 5 hours driving distance from my hometown where the assault occurred, and I'll need to travel there to testify at the trial. I'd spoken to my advisor and all my professors, notifying them of the days I'd be out, and everyone was understanding, giving me take-home versions of any tests or work I'd be missing. Unfortunately, one of the days I'll likely need to be out coincides with midterms. So my professor was required to get approval from the academic dean and dean of the college to issue a take-home midterm. His request for the take-home midterm was denied, and when it came to the attention of these deans, they contacted all my professors and informed me if I missed that many classes, it would be approximately 2 of each class, maybe 3 depending on some court scheduling, and 4 of another class, but it meets every day of the week. My professors were comfortable marking these as reported absence, which basically means there was a justification like a doctor's note or other official documentation. I showed the deans that I was in fact being called to testify by the defense, so it wasn't even really like I had a choice. I figured that would be enough documentation. The dean said that personal non-medical conflicts could not be counted as reported absences and would be treated as unreported absences. So, treated as the same thing as if I'd just slept through class. They suggested I apply for a leave of absence for the semester because otherwise I'd be dropped from my classes at the 3rd absence and be on probation if dropped from 2 or more classes. This attack took enough from me already. I went to great lengths to be sure I didn't miss a day of school while recovering. I do not want this man to derail my life further by pushing back my graduation date. I spoke to the Title IX office, who'd promised me they could help, but it turns out their idea of helping was helping me plan my leave of absence. I do not want to take a leave of absence. All my professors were ready and willing to work with me, and I was entirely capable of keeping up with the work. Do I have any legal recourse here against the school? Thank you in advance. Relevant comments. Deleted. At most, you'd be out for less than a week for a trial. This doesn't make sense. They won't allow you to reschedule to take a midterm the following week. OP. Unfortunately, the issue is not just midterm. Midterm is what brought my situation to the administration's attention. Their main concern is with the absences. The minimum amount of time I'd need to be home for the trial would see me dropped from at least 1 class, likely more, which puts me on academic probation. So I would then have to retake the courses over the summer or delay my graduation date to finish. I'm going to check into a proctored midterm at a college or library near my town to solve that issue, and then try to address the absences through other means. Choose a username too. As long as you don't exceed the number of excused absences allowed per the handbook and syllabi, they really don't have solid ground to recommend leave of absence. Most professors are cool with allowing a student to sit in another of their classes for the exam, as well as allowing students to take it in a supervised campus setting. I would request that instead of a take-home, which is really unusual in my experience. It does depend on the specific classes, of course. As others have said, there are lots of deans, and they aren't the final authority. Check your handbook for the hierarchy and follow that. Try not to skip a level. If there's no one between your professors and the deans who is having a problem, go to the next person in that hierarchy. Request in writing that you be granted excused absences and permission to take the exams on a different day due to your subpoena. Here's the thing, you may not even need permission from the deans or anyone above professor level if you just take the exams on a different day on campus. Try for that first. OP. The take-home was the professor's first idea. I'm looking into getting a proctored exam at a local college or library, as per another commenter's advice. The professor is a great person and is behind me 100% in whatever makes it easiest to attend the trial. He can't give me the midterm earlier than the set midterm date, which is what would really be easiest because of other, even more stringent, bureaucratic policies. But I'm lucky that the one whose class is now the biggest roadblock is also one of the most amenable, so hopefully it'll be an easy fix once I begin to escalate. Update. Thanks to everyone's terrific advice, I got my university's ombudsman involved and also reached out to a local survivors group similar to RAINN, who connected me to a wonderful attorney who facilitated between me and the legal services team at my school. Within a day of meeting with the school's general counsel, my attorney and I were invited to meet with the deans who had made the initial decision. One of my professors also apparently saw my legal advice post and put 2 and 2 together, and he and my other professors submitted a letter on my behalf protesting the administration's decision, copying the board, ombudsman, legal counsel, and high-level members of the administration, which was so incredibly touching that I am still overwhelmed and trying to properly thank them. Between my professor's incredible gesture and my showing up with an attorney raising flags. At the meeting, I was given carte blanche to work out the details of my absences between myself and my professors, and two were able to give me modified assignments that could be done at home but still exemplified the same knowledge and skill set. The ombudsman and the legal counsel assured me they are looking into the policy that caused this ordeal in the first place. The ombudsman is making sure the policy is being correctly and reasonably enforced, e.g., not used to coerce students into violating a subpoena, and the legal counsel is advising the administration on new guidelines for the policy so no one else has to experience this going forward. Thank you to everyone here who took the time to give me such helpful advice. I appreciate all of you. Second story. I brought my son to the AA program, and my ex is very upset. I have an amazing almost 8-year-old son who is incredibly sweet, well-mannered, and inquisitive. Although, I guess most parents think of their kids that way. I quit drinking about 2 months ago and have been adamant about doing the AA program correctly: 90 meetings in 90 days, sponsors, daily readings, therapy, etc. I really want to be a good mom and make up for my bad decisions when I was drinking. I never harmed him or put him in danger, but I just wasn't present and am remorseful about my drinking past. The problem is that I'm a single mom who works full-time, and I live in a small town. Because it's small, there aren't a lot of options in terms of AA meetings, so the only one I can really attend is the 5:30 based on my schedule and my son's. His father has him part-time, so on those days, I can attend meetings by myself, but on my days, I have to bring my son. I don't have anyone to leave him with, and babysitting wouldn't work because nobody wants to babysit for just 1 hour. It doesn't financially make sense for them. So, I take my son to meetings. Naturally, he isn't too thrilled when I have to. Before you suggested I could do Zoom meetings, I really didn't get anything out of them. I like the in-person connection and atmosphere. My ex, who has never taken my alcoholism seriously and has never actually attended an AA meeting, says I'm tough for exposing our child to that kind of atmosphere and those kinds of people. The truth is, those people are what have saved my life. They are so sweet and good with my son. And, while sometimes the subject matter can be a little adultish, we mostly talk about how to be better people, live a spiritually sound existence, and help our fellow man. I personally think it's good for my son to be surrounded by people that are trying to better themselves, and also to let him know at an early age the effects of alcoholism as it runs in my family. But maybe I'm tall and way off the mark and am doing more damage than good. I would just like outside opinions that aren't emotionally connected to the situation. AITA for taking my 7-year-old to AA meetings with some of the topics that are addressed. Edit, I super appreciate everyone's responses. It gave me a lot of insight. Admittedly, I didn't really think about how other members might feel about having a child there. I was mostly thinking about the comfort of my son. I will say that the group is all old-timers that have years of sobriety, and largely just talk about service work and how much better their lives are. But, as many have pointed out, the presence of a child may deter members from talking about serious subjects. So I'll either just give my kid headphones and a tablet to play with or do Zoom meetings when I have him. Again, thank you for all of the input. Even the people who were incredibly harsh with their verdict. Update. First and most importantly, I'm still sober and feel better than I have in years. I can now be more present and a better mom to my child, and for that, I'm incredibly grateful. AA has quite literally saved my life, and if anyone who is reading this struggles with addiction, I just want to say there is a way out. You just have to know you are worth it, and sobriety is worth it. My first post ended up being a mixed bag in terms of judgments about my arseholery. I accept my judgment of being the arsehole, but I did want to clarify a common misconception. Abstaining from alcohol is just a small portion of AA. A much larger portion is dedicated to looking into why we drink, taking accountability for our selfish actions, apologizing accordingly, and rectifying our character defects so we can be better people for our friends and family. Because of these aspects, I was hoping that exposing my son to the program would teach him something about accountability, patience, and empathy. I ended up just asking my AA home group if it bothered them that I brought my son to meetings. Not only did everyone look at me like I grew a second head for even asking for permission, but every parent in the group talked about their own children growing up in AA and how you do what you have to do to stay sober. Essentially, the consensus was that it is far better for a kid to have to be dragged to meetings a few hours a week than to have a mom drunk all the time. I still take my son to AA meetings, but now I allow him to play on my tablet with headphones. I got reamed in the comments for not allowing my kid to do this before. Fair enough. I just have this thing about kids being on technology as a quick fix for boredom, but I need to get over that. My son gets a lot of treats and gifts from my home group members. One dude gives him $10 and $20 every time he sees my son. I know, right? Untapped resource. My son is learning how to play electric guitar, and 2 AA members will riff with my son and talk music. Jimi Hendrix is currently my son's hero. All in all, my son likes the attention and says he doesn't mind going to meetings. A surprising update in all of this is that my son's dad has stopped drinking, although he currently refuses to attend AA. My relationship with my ex is much better, and my kiddo seems much happier as a whole. Life for all of us is just better. And while I don't want to turn this into a public endorsement for it, I just want to say that sobriety is hands down the best thing that's ever happened to my family.